This is the SDAIE lesson plan for the Gettysburg Address. Subject matter content, U.S. History, Grade 11, English Proficiency Level, Intermediate, by Andrew Bias. California Framework Content Standard, 11.1.3. Understand the history of the Constitution after 1787 with emphasis on federal versus state authority and growing democratization. Content objectives, summarizing the Gettysburg Address in their own words. Students will explain the opinion of Lincoln at the time of the address by both the Confederacy and the Union, and they will explain why the address is relevant today. The language objectives, listen to an excerpt from the brief political speech and give an oral critique of the author's evidence by using simple sentences. They will also narrate a sequence of events and communicate their significance to the audience. This is the vocabulary list given. This will be given the class period before we start this project, before we start this lesson. So they become familiar and they could, they don't have to have exact dictionary definitions, but they can have some idea. They can learn some idea on what these terms and words mean. The materials and resources needed are the Gettysburg Address video at this link, a hard copy of the Gettysburg Address, a pen and paper. The into process, we're going to hand out the vocabulary list to the class before the students start this so they become familiar with the terms, and we have an open class discussion about the Gettysburg Address. The discussion questions will drive the conversation. How do people feel about Lincoln? Did the Union like him and why? And did the Confederacy like him and why? The into process is that we'll create a KWL chart, and we'll want to know or learn we'll create a KWL chart, so know, want to know, learn, and it will enter the know chart, the know section with what the class discusses, so what we already know. Further in the into process, we'll play the video of the Gettysburg Address. It's reenacted by an actor, and it's about how they believe Lincoln would have said it. After the video, we'll ask the class what they would like to know about the address and fill in the W section of the KWL chart. The through process, we'll hand out a hard copy of the Gettysburg Address, and then students will look for vocabulary words and highlight those words. Students should also highlight any other words they do not know. We'll have students write their own version of the speech and have students present their speech to the class. The beyond process is we'll have students write a response to the question, is the Gettysburg Address relevant today? And we'll collect those responses. We'll have students reflect on what they learned about the Gettysburg Address. We'll use class reflections to fill in the L portion of the KWL chart. For the assessment, we'll collect the writing responses to assess the student's understanding. So in closing, we'll give reasons why the Gettysburg Address was so important at that time in history. We'll recap what words were chosen and what words were omitted from the speech. And we'll describe the feeling towards Lincoln by the Union and the Confederacy states. For review, our into strategies are the anticipatory KWL chart, the verbalization, and the pre-vocabulary. The through strategies are the KWL chart, the vocabulary search. The beyond strategies are the KWL chart and the reflection. Why is it important to study history? So you will not be the person the internet makes fun of. Yes, it's an actual tweet.